G'day, mates, and welcome to the first installation of our little program here on YouTube. It's called Beyond the Bullshit. I'm here with Stizer and our first guest, Christopher Maute. Chris, if you want to introduce yourself, feel free.
Hey, my name's Christopher Maute. That's like howdy with an M. That's how it's pronounced, but it's spelt like saute with an M. That's me.
So it's Maute or Maute?
It's pronounced Maute, but it's spelt like saute with an M.
I'm going to call you Maute.
Maute.
I'm hungry now.
Some of my more obnoxious friends really exaggerate the two syllables. They're like Maute. Hey, Maute. Hey.
And as some of you may know, Chris has kind of been MIA for a bit, so we're kind of going to chat about that and other similar things that have been kind of circulating throughout the Google Plus community, the great Derp 8 community, and things and things of the like. And I know Stizer had some questions that he wanted to ask, so you fucking dickhead, if you want to ask those questions, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, my good co-host. Thank you, Chris, for joining us on our first episode. I will say
My
that.
pleasure.
I'm just going to dive right in. Why the fuck did you leave?
Why did I leave? All right, so
Why?
well, because it's bullshit. I mean, can I just say that? There is no debate, and what exists as a debate, it ain't so great. And also, I just kind of got tired of being in an environment that was so argumentative. As somebody that tries to engage in a little bit of impulse control and not start swinging, so to speak, every time somebody gets fucking a wild hair up their ass and they want to bust my friggin' balls. It takes a lot more energy than you think. And I realized that I started having like ruminations. Like, I'm a ruminator, right? So like when I'm not doing stuff, I'll think about conversations that I've had or things that have happened because like my mind is always going 990. And I noticed that my ruminations started to be like arguments. Like I was practicing arguments in my head in a way that I normally don't. I'm not an arguer. I'm not a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not competitive with other people. I'm competitive with myself. I want to be a better person than I was the day before, more compassionate, more empathic, more understanding. But I started having these ruminations of like poning people, and it wasn't even things having to do with the online community. It was like stuff at work. Like, everybody has frustrations at work. I'm never going to not have frustrations at work. But all of a sudden I started like ruminating like, oh, and if this person says this to me again, this is going to be the comeback I use, and they're going to be pwned. And then I'd stop and be like, wow, that kind of makes me a dick.
So, did you feel that you caught like T plus syndrome then?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Like, work is very busy. And at that point, I had those ruminations, and I realized, hey, maybe I should take a step back, be mindful of the fact that I am involved in an environment and surrounded by an environment, and as a hobby, contribute and engage in this environment that is turning sour. Friends are turning against friends, atheists against atheists, theists against theists, and it became less about the content that I was interested in, because I'm genuinely interested in the philosophical underpinnings of people's beliefs. I like psychology. I like talking about things and I'm going to sound elitist, and I don't care, at a higher level. You know what I mean? Like, I like to talk to people that are picking up what I'm throwing down, that understand the phrases and topics that I like to talk about. And the conversations were digressing from that towards something else. And, I'm human, and I could just as easily not look at it. But, some of it's kind of like a train wreck. It's going to end horribly, but you can't stop watching. So I'm guilty as charged. So I kind of had a three-pronged effort. One of them was to stop broadcasting Meeting of the Minds. That was step one. Step 2 was to actually actually make observations about how shitty things are, and I did that on J.D. Kane's Talking Shit Tuesday. The not the most recent. I was just on it this past Tuesday, but the one that I was on before I closed down my channel.
Okay.
And then I closed down my channel. So it was like those 3 steps. It was very deliberate.
Well, I think that was a big deal because, I mean, I'm not going to mean to suck your dick or anything, but you are a popular guy in the community in that regards because, you know, you're pretty fair and you used to host good hangouts as far as I'm aware. So
I like them.
Yeah, well, so did I. I used to watch them. Okay, no, honestly, they were complete shit. I'm joking.
I feel about my hangouts the way I feel about my music and my food. I make the food that I like, and I like the food that I make.
Yeah.
You know, I like the music that I play, and I play the music that I like.
Yeah.
I like the hangouts that I had, and I had the hangouts that I liked to have, that I wanted to see.
Right.
And I just wasn't seeing a lot of it. Also, another kind of sidebar to this is other people were doing what I was trying to do better than me. You know, I thought that the Deeper Than Dogma, as soon as that started coming around, and some shout-outs to a sock account and the Xbox Fiend, good on them. They brought it up a notch and had really cool, and still do, have really awesome hangs. So I just figured, you know, there was a time when I was like, hey, man, if you don't like what you're doing, opt out. So I followed my own advice.
Yeah.
You know, are you as smart as a mouse? You know, if you're engaging in something that is not giving you consequences that are positive,
yeah.
A mouse, a lab animal, is really good at changing their behavior to not get that punishment.
Yeah, it's like.
So am I as smart as a mouse? I like to think so. So I just opted the fuck out.
That's good.
Right. Closed everything down.
Do you think there was any personalities that drove you to go there? And you know that's a sticky issue, but fuck it, you don't be on the bullshit, so spit it out. So who the fuck annoys you the most on
Out with it.
And push you in that direction?
So I can't say that anybody in particular did it, but I have to say that as I was having these observations about my ruminations, like that's when like Forbidden Fruit came out with his line of horseshit. And so I was just like, you know, like, what the fuck is this? And so I, you know, would make comments about it, and then people started getting all over my ass because they were like, oh, well, you know, you were gunning for him to fail to begin with. And I was like, fuck yeah, I am, because the dude's a douche nozzle. Like, he couldn't he couldn't argue his way out of a wet paper bag. And he's just like, he's so fake. He's so strident, and he's so fucking stupid. He's so fucking stupid, he doesn't know what the criteria are for being as stupid as he is. He's so stupid, he doesn't realize he's stupid.
Bit like a racist person, then.
So would it be fair to say that a lot of the cynicism and stonewalling that people do to each other would be kind of, because that's kind of what I heard, like, you know, the arguments, and that's kind of what the arguments around here are just kind of going around in circles. No one really trying to make a point. It's just a big pissing contest. So would it be kind of fair to say that it was that kind of drove you away from doing Hangouts?
I think that's a really good point. So, admittedly, there is a revolving door in this community. New people are always coming in, people are always leaving, and the arguments really don't change because of that. It's difficult to have a trajectory when people keep coming in and out, and the new people think that, you know, when they argue the things that have been talked to death, when they do it for the first time, it's new to them, so they're on fire about religion being a mental illness.
Right.
Or whatever fucking chestnut that everyone else has been like, really, this? Like, we were doing so well, but now I gotta stop and explain to you why that's a shitty argument? And so, like, it kind of dawned on me, like, man, it's the juggernaut of drama that is involved in the community was just a little too intense. I'm not much for drama. Also, I'm not an activist. As staunch as an atheist as I am, as much as I feel that I can justify why I have a reasonable certainty that gods don't exist, I was never the guy that like went after people for their religion. I did have a debate with a nephew, but that was about science. Right? You know, I like science. I enjoy science communication. If I'm an activist about anything, it's good dialogue and science communication. And of course, that kind of bleeds over into, you know, beliefs about religion and shit like that there. But I wasn't an atheist activist. I wasn't militant about my position. I'm much more interested in understanding individual differences, and that's kind of where my approach came from at all times. And, you know, then there are people that are busting my balls for not being an activist, busting my balls for everything. You know what I mean? Like, I would have hangouts with Shanna, and people would be like, stop flirting with Shanna. I would have hangouts with, you know, like, Rancam, and I would get shit about that. I would go into Jason Burns hangouts. I would get shit about that, and it's just like, you know, like, I could tune it out, but everybody, you know, everyone tags the person that they're arguing. So it shows up in my feed. And so, like, you know, when I go to bed at night and I wake up and there's 42 fucking notifications.
That you're a cunt. Yeah, that's not always good, is it?
Yeah, it's like, come on with this. Like, do I have time to look through all of these? No.
Right.
Do I have time to address all of it? No. So, like I said, I just decided to opt out. What's the best way? You know, I'm not going to... There are people that I had blocked. I don't think.
Okay, no, I'm gonna ask, who the fuck do you dislike? I mean, I want to know this because it's important.
Well, you have to understand. My position is, like, people aren't bad. Their behavior pisses me off sometimes, and behavior is different than a person, right? A smart person can do stupid things. A stupid person can do clever things, right? That doesn't make the smart person stupid or the stupid person clever. It just means that every once in a while, there's things, you know, I will give everyone the benefit of the doubt until I can't. And so as much as I like Douglas, the way that he goes about things makes it difficult to have anything to sink your teeth into as far as finding common ground or anything. Because when somebody admits that they are a warrior, that presupposes that there is a war. I'm not in that war. So don't warrior me.
Right.
So,
I just want to
that's
go
just a case in point. But, you know, of course, there are others that have similar positions, like fucking Raul Demarest, who has like 20 different accounts, and what the fuck is the dude? Who's the dude that always changes his name? I don't know. He has a friend that always changes his channel and says like totally inflammatory stuff and potentially libel, you know, crazy shit, and then deletes everything and changes his account. And so it's just like that whole, like, the fact that that exists. I mean, it doesn't bother me that it exists, but, you know, people were saying that what was the one claim about child abuse? Not condone, but I defended a child molester, or I defend child molestation, like weird shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would point to a video where I explicitly say how I would torture somebody if I found that they had molested one of my nephews or nieces, right? So I explicitly say how much I detest that behavior in the hangout that they refer to say that I support it. But then, of course, without going into detail, you know, so one of the hosts, unfortunately, was molested as a child. He had admitted that, you know, because of that, when he was very young, he had ideas, he had ideations about child molestation, and because of that, he doesn't think that child molesters should be seen as monsters, right? And because he humanized it, everybody else who was on the panel supported the idea, like, well, okay, wow, yeah, that's super brave of you to say. So in the context of that, people were using it against me, right? Because I didn't argue against it. And so, like, it's stupid shit like that. People are so fucked up and stupid that they will ignore my explicit statements about what I don't like, and then use the things that I don't say, my implicit silence, to support their libelous claims. And so it was just like, what am I involved with? How the fuck what grade are we in right now? So, you know, like when you're faced with that kind of stuff, and I'm sure that there are people that, you know, for people that purposely push buttons, I'm sure they expect it and can handle it and all of that stuff. My goal is not to push buttons. When somebody says something that's crazy, I will mock that crazy idea, probably in a snarky way that's condescending and makes you feel like shit. I'm kind of good at that sometimes. But I don't put out content to piss people off. I put out content to build bridges, to understand. And so I invited a Forbidden Fuckface onto my show, and he just like had this weird attitude, like, why the fuck would I go on your show and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, because you're part of the community, I'm part of the community. You claim that you like discussions. I pride myself in liking discussions as well and try to have as good a dialogues as possible. So if you'd like to have that discussion, I have a format for it. And then it was just like that, so it just like that came at it was the perfect storm of like I was getting fed up. People were doing what I was trying to do better than me. Idiots were getting under my skin. So I just bounced.
But did you have a question there, Joseph? I know I've got one.
No, he just mentioned somebody that I really don't like.
Well, that's normal, isn't it? In this fucking clusterfuck we call G+. So what I did want to ask though, do you think the great derp bait that we like to call the great derp bait do you think it's a problem with also what you just mentioned? I think you articulated that very well, but you also think that there's a problem of the same bloody topic over and over, and it's been like bashed to death, which is in my case I would say religion. It's bad.
Well, a part of me thinks that you have to revisit it. It has to be revisited, like in the same sense that, you have to revisit the idea that dialogues are more fruitful than yelling matches. That needs to be reiterated frequently because of the revolving door process. I do think that some topics need to be readdressed year after year, like whatever, philosophically, the problem of induction. You know what I mean? Simple things like that. But for me, it's because because I was naive. So here's what I said on the Talking Shit Tuesday that I was on, where I just like laid bare my observations about Raw being a lonely motherfucker that just uses the intertubes to not provide any content and claims to be a religious proponent for a book that he apparently never reads, and he's a dumbass. And like fucking Matt Bellend, who I call Saddle because he looks like he was ridden hard and put away wet. And
oh my god.
Oh god, that was brilliant.
like all that shit. But I pretty much said, I had a naive optimism that people wanted the conversation to get better, and so by revisiting these topics, it was just kind of like a primer for people like being up to snuff to engage in those higher level. And once again, that's going to sound elitist, and I really couldn't give a fucking bag of dicks that you can suck if you don't like it. A higher conversation, a higher level conversation about the topics at hand. Once again, content driven. I wanted, what is the content? Okay, you believe this. Why do you believe that? What are your philosophical underpinnings? Is there anything that can be said that can change your mind? And even if it can't, explain to me how you got to where you are. Like those kinds of things are the dialogues that I would go after. And I have to be honest, the reason why I came back has everything to do with people like Ozymandias Ramses and Gary Edwards and Richard it's either Firth or Frith, God Be Here, the historian revolution or historical revolution guy. They have a show called Deep Thoughts that Ozzy had advertised on Facebook, so I went to go check it out. And while he was on, I was kind of private messaging him, and he asked permission to get an invite sent to me. So I went on the show and we talked about like really interesting, cool stuff. And they invited me back and wanted me to be in the community for the show, but I couldn't because I didn't have a Google Plus account. I could still get into Hangouts because I have a Gmail account, and that tethers you to Google Messages, Google Plus Messages. So I was able to get into Hangouts and stuff, but I couldn't start a live Hangout because I didn't have a Google Plus account. So I decided to reinstate my YouTube account and my Google Plus account specifically to be able to contribute to shows like that, because that is That's what resonates with me. That's the reason why I got on here to begin with, is to have those kinds of conversations, which are dialogues, have disagreements in a non-disagreeable way. Here's a fart. Oh, did you hear that?
That was so disagreeable. To hear that, people, that's our live thought on episode 1.
Man,
Make
man,
notes.
if you think it's disagreeable, you should talk to my nose. Holy cow. So, digression rabbit hole. Yesterday, for lunch, we went out to like one of the best Chinese restaurants in Philadelphia. It's called Han Dynasty. And when we went there, there's like 17 of us, and apparently we were getting the tasting menu. So what they do is it's like family style. So they bring out dishes. They ask you on a scale of 1 to 10 what the range of heat you want. So we like to heat, so we got like 4 to 5, but there are people that don't like heat, so that's why it was so low. So they brought out all these appetizers. I didn't realize they were appetizers. I thought it was the main meal. So I'm eating like a gavone, right? I haven't eaten all day. Like I wake up at 5 o'clock and I have a little bit of something to eat. And this was like at noon. I hadn't had anything to eat since 5, so I'm eating like a friggin' gavone, like I haven't eaten, like it's my job to eat. And then I'm like, man, that was really good. Then the waitress clears our plates, brings out clean plates, and then brings out 7 more dishes of food. Didn't stop me from eating. I ate so much yesterday. My farts are just like,
my goodness,
death. Something crawled in my ass. I can't wait for the shit that I'm going to take in about a half hour. Man, I'm going to lose like 5 pounds in one sitting.
Well, at least shit is applicable to the show, so that's nice. There you go, people. You just learned about shit and Maute's bowels.
My ass is a mess.
Okay, do you think the way the hangouts are structured, where there's not like 10 people in a hangout and stuff, do you think that is a hindrance sometimes, or also for people to get their message across? Do you think that might be a big problem?
Some people are better at it than others. I'm not good at handling large hangouts because I always try to give everyone a chance. So like I get kind of control freakish when I'm in a hangout with 9 other people. I'll make sure that people have a chance, and then when I know that somebody hasn't talked in a while, as I'm talking, at the end of it, I'll throw it to that person. And everyone who's in my hangouts has always been very respectful of that kind of style. But, topics change so quickly that when somebody wants to address it, by the time I get around to them to have a turn to talk, the thing they wanted to talk about had passed. So it's like, so to answer your question, yeah, I think large groups kind of gets in the way unless you just do a lot of overlapping conversation, which is like, I'm kind of used to it. I'm Italian American, the loudest wins at the dinner table. That's how I was raised. But when there's 10 people and there's a latency, in the signal,
yeah, the lag.
So it makes for a bit of a clusterfuck. So I prefer smaller hangs, but I do think that the format, a lot of people just throw out the live link, and then the room fills up, and then once the room is full, anything goes. Sometimes there's a topic, sometimes there's not, and that's fun. That's the hobby part of it. Like, hey, I'm bored and I want to hang out with people. Cool, that's great, but there's not much content in those kinds of hangouts. Which again is fine if that's your hobby. If you like talking about these kinds of things and be surrounded by people who like to talk about those kinds of things, and you want to throw out the link that's live, I'm not disparaging people who do that. It's just as far as preferences go, I prefer to have a topic. I prefer the amount of people to be relatively small so that everyone has a turn, and I prefer the quality of conversation to be higher than the quantity of people.
All right. So I do have a quick question. Because I noticed the content seems to always surround theism, as opposed to current events and actual things that are going on around people that live close to a lot of these things that we see in the news and stuff like that. Actually, Dragnet was one of the only people that I saw do a hangout about the shooting, the Boston riots and stuff like that, or sorry, not the riots that were going on during that whole, you know what I mean, the whole police thing, right?
Yeah.
So apart from that, it's always just philosophical conversation. Does God exist? How useful do you think that is in terms of actually progressing the conversation and moving forward in terms of social cooperation? How useful do you
Oh,
think
that's a good
the
question.
God
So I need to say that, my interest and involvement in politics, and when I say involvement, it's not like I'm running for office, but my involvement in conversations having to do with politics, I should say, it's cyclical, right? And it usually is, when there are elections coming up, or when the race starts and people are putting their hats in the ring, or is that the right phrase? Whatever. When people are saying that they're running for office, like the presidential election that's going to be happening, I all of a sudden shift focus and become very interested in politics in a way that I'm not as interested during the in between election years. So I'm more interested in that stuff now. I'm watching a lot more of Daily Show, and I have to admit I dig Rachel Maddow. I really like Chris Hayes, All In. And so I'm more involved in that kind of stuff, and I like having those kinds of conversations, and they rarely have to do with God and Jeebus. So that was kind of another reason, what I was doing when I wasn't on Google Plus having conversations about religion, I was watching and having conversations about political stuff that I think is really interesting and fun, and sinking my teeth into that. And I don't really consider myself somebody who's deep into the social justice warrioring, but obviously I have interests in it. I have a nephew and niece that are African American that my sister adopted. I have another niece that came out as gay when she was 16, and she's all of 18 now. So of course I have interests as far as these things are concerned. And I am more interested in having conversations about stuff like that now, once again, because the somebody flicked the switch. You know what I mean? It's like, uh-oh, election's coming up, blam, time to pay attention to these kinds of things. Those are very edifying conversations, if I'm understanding your question right. The fact that people aren't talking about that and are still focusing on the religion thing, you're asking, do I think that is slowing things down as far as progress within the community, right? With the dialogues that are happening. Is that kind of fair?
Yep.
Okay. So, what I try to keep reminding myself is, because I live in the super liberal Northeast of America, lived in Philadelphia, I work in Philadelphia, I live in Jersey right now, New York, we are progressive liberal haven right here. Religion never really impacted my life super negatively. There are people who live in other parts of the United States and other parts of the world that are atheists because religion has impacted their lives very negatively. So it is a banner that they wave, and they don't want to let go of those kinds of religious conversations. And even some people who live in the Northeast that aren't really affected by religion just are dicks and think that they're the second coming of Christopher Hitchens and think that they're as smart as him and want to rail against it and be atheist activists, and more power to them. I'm not an activist in that way, but that's their thing, and to branch out into other areas, I don't think is as interesting to them as it would be to you, it sounds like, and to me, but I admit that this is cyclical for me. After the elections are over, I'll probably go back to not being as interested in politics. Although the U.S. Supreme Court is doing a fucking bang-up job these days, I'll tell you that. Fucking John Roberts Supreme Court just said that a part of the Obamacare that was put before the Supreme Court is legal and constitutional, and so the Republicans who thought this was going to be a blow to Obamacare can go blow themselves.
Well, I was going to bring up a little bit of politics, a little bit, not too much, because I wanted to still focus on the whole key plus thing, but yeah, just a little weeny bit, because I'm into my politics. I like my politics. But what I was going to ask you though, Tristan, do you think people, well, I think personally, but I want your opinion, obviously, the great debate or the derp bait.
Herpate.
Has become sort of the G plus norm on as the topic, and these things that we do in real life or face in real life get clouded out by people with big egos and big opinions, and it kind of drowns out the rest. Like Joseph said, I've made hangouts on gun violence. No one fucking joins. Nobody. I could make a video about anything and people won't watch it or whatever. But then it's like, does God exist? Every fucktard on my list joins that hangout. And then they argue for hours over complete shit, basically. They don't even agree on anything. They just argue against each other's positions. What part of productive in that regards do you find that? I mean, is it productive to keep going on and going on without any even agreement, really?
Yeah, I think that, okay, so I'll use an example. So since I've been off of Google+, I've spent a little bit more time on Facebook. But my Facebook account is private. I keep my friends down to like around 100, and then when it gets to like 150, I cull it back down to 100. So like, you know, only the people that I'm friends with can see the content that I provide or the messages that I post or, you know, stuff like that. I recently was in a conversation via Facebook, which isn't really a conversation, it is a thread, you know. But for colloquial purposes, I'll pretend, you know, I'll use communication language. So this person was a theist, and he's somebody that I'm acquaintances with. He's been to my house. We have plans to go out to dinner. You know, he lives in Jackson, New Jersey, so like, you know, he lives near me, relatively speaking, closer than California. And he couldn't wrap his head around the idea that when I asked him questions to understand where he was coming from, I wasn't challenging him to a debate. I was inviting him to a dialogue. And I think that people get wrapped up in that mentality, right? Where it's not about talking about differences, it's about winning.
Exactly.
And I'm not, once again, as competitive as I am with me, I'm not competitive with other people. You can think that my position is absurd. I will pat you on the head and say, that's nice, I accept that. You know, I give that, and this is the example that I give. I give people's opinions about my position as much credence as it deserves. And in my opinion, that's as much credence as I give my 5-year-old nephew when he says that I'm mean for putting him in timeout. I accept that you think that, but you're going to sit on that step for another minute. You know, it's like, okay, you think I'm mean. Okay, you think that my position is absurd. And that doesn't get us anywhere. I think that your position is absurd, but I'm not going to keep telling you that, and I'm not going to try to prove that that is correct. Let me know more about your position. Maybe I have a misunderstanding about one or two things.
Do you think that leads? Do you think that leads to the drama fest on Google Plus? Then that whole not talking to each other but trying to win something.
I think that that is pervasive. I think that a lot of people that are on the Google Plus community is a self-selected group. Lots of people think about and talk about religion. Not all of them do it online. The ones that do it online and join Hangouts to do it, or comment on Hangouts that are doing it, are purposely contributing to an arena that is public where their opinion can be seen by a shit ton of people. That's the world we live in now. You know, if you are following Jack Black on Twitter and you tweet him, there's a much more likelihood that he will see a personal tweet from you than when I was a fan of Mark Hamill when he was Luke Skywalker when I was a kid. Trying to contact him back then in 1978, 79 was, you know, it was impossible. Like, I didn't even know where to begin. Like, do I have to talk to his agent? Like, is there a fan club? Do I write a fan letter? Is there a chance that he'll actually read this? No. But we live in a world now with social platforms where put something out there and you just don't know how many hundreds or thousands or dozens of people can see what you have to say. And some people get off on that. So I think that that contributes to it. Does that kind of answer your question? Like, as far as like the argumentative nature. We are a self-selected group that want our opinions to be heard.
Yeah,
And
because
that feeds into what you just said.
Because that's what we see around, right? You don't see good, like sometimes you see good conversation, but for the most part, you just see people
I seek good conversation.
arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But and for the most part, you just see these ridiculous arguments of, I just want to be correct. I just want to be right, and it doesn't seem like most of it's going anywhere, and it's followed up with ridiculous threats. Like stupid
Yeah.
threats that have no real effect on anybody, and it's kind of like all a charade, and a lot of people participate in it, and so I don't really understand. So that's kind of my little rant about that. It's
I
foolish.
can't disagree with you. I can't disagree with you. Because there are so many people, and because of the kind of platform that it is, somebody will say something. It's misunderstood by one person. Three other people gang up on that person for the misunderstanding. Three of that person's friends gang up on the three other people because they believe that what the person said, because they want to defend him because they're his friend. And then it becomes like the Hatfields and the McCoys. Then it's like, why are we mad at each other? I don't know, man, but if you say something, I'm going to go after it. Oh, well, that's
That's where the clusterfuck begins, right?
that's exactly where the clusterfuck begins.
And we're
And
gonna be opening it soon to the publics. But if you have any questions for Chris before we open it up, feel free. The Q&A thing's open, so if you'd like to ask Chris some questions, feel free. I want to ask, what's the future then for Chris Melton? I mean, what's your ideas on what you're gonna try and achieve? You're gonna stay away from the clusterfuck, or you're gonna try and at least make the clusterfuck not so much of a clusterfuck, so to speak?
I'm not going to be involved. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to try to steer clear of the drama as much as possible. And if I do watch it, it'll be strictly for entertainment purposes. Once again, the only reason why I started up reinstated my YouTube and Google Plus account was to be available for the kinds of awesome conversations that Historical Revolution has with his show Deep Thoughts, which happens like every 2 weeks. And the topics they're deep thoughts. They're super interesting. He is a really smart dude. Gary Edwards is also on the show. He's a really smart dude that has a lot of good things to say. Dave S. is also on the show. He's a really smart dude that has really good things to say. And I'm not that smart of a dude, so when I surround myself with smart people, I learn. So that's where I'm coming from with this. So I'm not going to be providing content. I'm not going to start my show up again. I might do hangouts every here and again. But it's not going to be. It's not going to. I'm not. This isn't a preamble to starting up Meeting of the Minds version 3.
But I think that's a bit of a shame, but okay. Well, at least you're going to be around, because I think you're a valuable member of the community. I think
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you. That's very nice of you to
Well,
say.
I think you're a bit like us. I mean, the whole point of the show is to try and get past the fucktardery and the derp debate, because we would like to see basically what you're saying. We want to see more rational thoughts, and I wouldn't say rational really, but just a slowed down version of maybe the great derp.
Yeah, like
More like a
I
conversation.
still like talking about religion. I do, because here's my motivation, right? I can't believe that people believe in the supernatural. I really can't. And that's why I study psychology. I can't believe that people think differently than me. Now, of course, I do believe it. I accept that it occurs, but I want to know why. I want to understand it. I want to wrap my head around it. And so that's the position from which I work. So,
That's
and
good stuff.
it just so happens that, like, for instance, there's a lot of really good musicians that happen to be in this community.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Mm.
So, because my Facebook page is private, I know everybody who is a musician because I invited them because of their musicianshipness.
Well, I am, but I'm pretty shit, if I was to be honest. I can
You
play.
bass, don't you?
I can play bass left-handed and the guitar right-handed, and I can play them both equally shit at the same time. Okay, I'm a lion. I can play bass a little bit better than guitar, actually.
Well, I play bass way better than I play guitar.
Yeah, I love me bass. Sorry, it's all
But-
the reggae and shit.
But for instance, like, I put out 2 videos today of just canned material. This is stuff that I had already posted on my Facebook page. One of them was a music video. I did a chord melody of Tempted by the Fruit of Another by Squeeze on my 6-string bass. And having put that out, all of a sudden, like, Rick Gate is like, I'm going to rip this and add drums to it. And then, like, Richard Firth Godby here is like, oh, when you're done with that, send it to me and I'll add guitar to it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't like the building bridges reputation or vibe that I was going for.
Well, I think that's the point, isn't it? It's like, what is productive? And I don't think, well, I mean, I do love the Hangouts myself that I on Google Plus, and I love some, I wouldn't say love all, I love some. But I think it's a measure of productivity, right? Or productivity in the sense for the person, and I think that's what G Plus, from what it's lost that. Well, I don't even think it ever had it really, but it's lost its way a little bit in the terms of what it's supposed to be doing.
Well, I have to admit that it made me smile earlier today after I posted that video, and then people commented on it in that particular thread where it was just like, people coming together to make music. Like, what, like, music's the international language. So that I was thrilled about. I was like, yeah, I couldn't do this on my Facebook page because I keep it private and I want it private and I only maintain like 100-ish friends. But on Google Plus, when I reinstated it, the whatever couple hundred people that circled me, I'm still in their circles. So when I put something out, like, a whole host of people are checking it out, and every time they comment on it, it becomes like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Like logarithmic. You know what I mean? Exponential. That's the word I'm looking for. When they comment on it, all of the people that are following them see that, and then they see the content, and so it spreads very quickly, and I think that's awesome because it was mostly positive. Right? Except for Fabio, who purposely said that I sounded like shit without even listening to it.
That was funny. I actually read that comment.
I love that dude.
He's so funny, Fabio. That's what I'm saying. So we have got great people in the community, right? So I think they would feel the same way we do. But the drama fest. Do you think the people in the community can change the community to make it a bit more less drama festy? Do you think we're all capable of doing that?
I'm not optimistic like that. I'm not.
Wow.
I'm optimistic about things, but I'm trying to drop my naive optimism. Right. I will maintain an optimistic stance, but I'm trying to drop the naivety. I think that the community will be what it is. It's going to grow in diversity, and I think that with that in mind, you can surf it and find the content that you like. And I think that you should just gravitate towards the shit that resonates with you. If you're going to try to change it, I think it's too much of a juggernaut. Why would I want to change somebody who is a militant anti-theist? I'm not going to change their minds. And they want their opinion heard. Because they're an activist, their goal is to change people's minds and to unify them behind the bullshit ideas that they have. Fine, do that. I don't want to... like in the same sense, like the whole Confederate flag thing. I'll use that as a parallel.
I was gonna.
I don't think that. Hold on a second. I have a point. There's a method to my madness.
That was my question. Shut up.
So like the Confederate flag thing. I don't think the government should ban it. I do think that people should have the right to fly it on their private property if they want. But Constitution being what it is, freedom of speech allows people to have an opinion about your opinion. There is no freedom, there is no right to be protected from criticism. So if you want to do it, do it. Expect criticism. I extend that kind of idea to the Google sphere.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change the pockets of the Google sphere that want to hate. They want to be social justice warriors in a way that makes sense to them, even though the longer they're in it, the more myopic they become, and like that whole corner of the world.
That's what I'm saying. Though, I think you hit the nail on the head. Is that taking over the Google sphere? Is that myopic shit taken over rather than rational thought and conversation?
it seems to have taken over the parts that I used to pay attention to. But that just might be a shift in the people that I've followed, right? Because I don't, like I don't use the Googles for like I don't play video games. I don't like sports. I don't like cars. So like those areas of the world, I don't know what's happening to them in this version of the great debate community, because I'm not so bold as to think that I'm tapped into the only great debate corner of the world. There are people that have been doing this longer that I have no idea about. I just, recently this year got turned on to who fucking Amazing Atheist is and all that, and apparently he was a big deal, or is a big deal, or is
Well,
big.
anybody who shoves a banana up their ass is always a big deal.
Yeah, end up being a big deal after that. Yeah.
But I mean, he has shit tons of subscribers, and I'm sure that there are pockets within that are just as big as the pocket that I used to contribute to. So I can't be so arrogant as to think like, oh well, I am a part of the great debate. No, I'm not. Never was. I was interested in having conversations with people that were religious, that had a different opinion than me, that I disagreed with, and tried to disagree with them without being disagreeable. But that was a niche, little, tiny area of the landscape on the Google sphere. So to answer your question, it does seem that the drama part of things has kind of overtaken this niche, small, little area that I was contributing to. But I don't know if it's I don't have enough information to know whether or not it's a shift overall, or whether it's on my radar because it's happening in this little area that I used to contribute to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think I was going to actually just one last question before I'm going to throw it open to the peeps. So be warned, I'm going to throw it open. Well, we're going to throw it open, unless Joseph's got some more questions to ask.
It's going to be a full room, and we're going to scream at each other, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to go fucking full cracker mode. And that doesn't mean white in England. It means crazy, fuck's sake. Yeah, it's fucking Americans and the crazy language.
Wait a second, what's the word you used?
Cracker. It doesn't mean white in England. Well, doesn't matter. I was going to ask you about demography, really. A lot of, well, from what I've noticed, there isn't many English Google Pluses in my circles. I'm sure there's plenty, but most of the people who I speak to tend to be Americans. And do you think that might? Yeah, I know. Do you think that might change how the Googles is as well? Because if you've only got one variety of mentality in that regards to a country, do you think that can guide maybe the conversation? Because religion's a big fucking deal in the USA,
Yeah, it is.
I mean, atheists are hated more than black people, for fuck's sake. That says a lot.
I think that there was a recent poll about, people would be more comfortable with like a gay person running for office than an atheist, or like stuff like yeah, atheism has this bizarre stigma, like even within my family, you know what I mean, and not my immediate family, not my nuclear family, if you will, but like when I go hang out with my aunts and stuff, and they say stuff and they ask my opinion, I'm like, oh well, I don't believe in magic, so, and they're like, well what does that mean? And I'm just like, pretty much what I just said, and they're like, what are you, an atheist?
Yep.
Like, yeah. I was like, in fact, I am. And they're just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, you didn't really ask me anything about what I think other than the fact that I don't believe in magic. So I don't know what you're getting upset about. Those conversations occur all the time. And it's because of the stigma that atheism has, and it's because of how important religion is in America. And once again, I said earlier, I don't suffer consequences of religion. I don't hang out with these people enough that their opinion, being religious, affects me. I'm 43. I'm a 43-year-old grown-ass man. If I disagree with what somebody has to say, I disagree with it. When I was growing up, I was raised Catholic, but it didn't, me getting out of Catholicism wasn't because of I wasn't being abused. I was an altar boy, but I wasn't abused.
Oh, come on. Tell us your secrets.
Okay. Father Joseph is hung like a horse. And I don't have a gag reflex, so I was his favorite.
The Pope
And
is so gonna send
it's so
you to
it's so
hell.
freeing not having a show where I have to be a nice guy and maintain a reputation anymore. This is great.
Oh, of course,
Just
of
fucking.
course.
Well, you know, it was really nice to actually have you on the show, and I'm pretty sure we'll have you on again, actually. So you don't need to worry about that.
All right, I'm into it. Whenever you want, so long as I can just say what I want.
Well, that's
Oh,
the point of the show, you know.
There's no filters, no censorship, nothing like that. Say what the fuck you want.
Because
Pretty much.
nobody's fucking safe on this show. Not even me
Exactly.
or him.
Yeah, you fucking douche. You sound like you got a fucking mouthful of marbles all the time. What's up with that?
That's because I've got a mouthful of fucking marbles. Don't hate, racist.
Racist.
How the fuck is that? How is that racist? Explain how that's racist.
It's a meme, for fuck's sake. Shut up.
You need to
Don't
know
overthink
that.
it.
That's so great. So we're gonna talk about Kellogg's being homophobic for making fucking Fruit Loops.
Yep.
That is some shit.
That is a very serious problem today.
Telling Toucan Sam.
What?
Yeah.
Don't take it lightly. Don't make fun.
I wouldn't.
It's not a joke.
I wouldn't. That big phallic beak of his. Man, what are they teaching kids?
Creationism, sadly.
The terrible sex symbols on the cereal boxes.
I'm telling you.
The devil.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a political question because you like politics. Who do you want to win the POTUS? Who do you want to be POTUS?
Oh, there's another fart. Jesus Christ, my ass.
Is that who you want? A fart? Oh, Jesus Christ, fuck me.
Oh. Who do I want?
I'm going to say who I want after you say it, and then if you say a Republican, I'm going to fuck you up.
I don't.
Say Republican.
Just don't, or I will fucking go ham on your ass. Seriously.
I want Abraham Lincoln. So I think that there are advantages to Hillary because she has experience, but unfortunately those experiences are what they are. I mean, her being Secretary of State, I think, is a nice feather in her cap. Because she has the connection, so once she goes into the White House, she will know.
Where? The White House? What?
White ass.
The White Ass.
White
He
ass.
got like a southern like.
White House.
Yeah, Obama's a big black dick in the White House, then.
So I think that there are advantages to Hillary, but I hate the idea of like dynasties. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Bush and then Clinton and then Clinton.
But isn't that history though, man? Isn't that how it's been? Isn't that everywhere?
No, who else?
No?
I mean, maybe.
I think of the Queen of England and her family.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but that's
You know what I'm saying?
completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like mute in England. I mean, Parliament is sovereign. I mean, the whole reason why the Queen's she just looks fucking cool. That's all, and she's got no power whatsoever. I mean, she's the head of state, but that means fuck all when it comes to making laws and stuff. She's basically fucking irrelevant when it comes to making laws.
Well,
Because we chopped off one of their family's head to make sure of that shit.
Kennedy's brother would have had a better chance, but he got shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been
like,
another kind of.
I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, but like part of one of the reasons why not one of the reasons, because I'm getting back into politics. I'm a big audiobook guy, right? So Howard Zinn has a book called The People's History of the United States, which is essentially history not written by the winners.
All written by the losers.
And it's just like, it's so intense what the United States has done to its citizens, and how like this patina of, oh, well, we're gonna do what's right for the lower and middle class, like that is just a chestnut that has slowly evolved while they step on the middle class and lower class. You know what I mean? Right. So it's just like listening to that, I listened to the whole book from beginning to end. And now I'm listening to it backwards. So it's like the most recent chapter first, then the second most recent chapter next, and so I'm listening to it again. I'm also listening to a lot of Noam Chomsky, which kind of goes over my head because dude's understanding of world politics is fucking complete. So, so I have a certain, I'm starting to change my understanding based on that, right? So like political parties are jive. a part of me, because I am from the Northeast, would love Bernie Sanders to win, just to have a president with a thick Brooklyn accent.
I wanted to win because he's actually got a fucking brain.
That would be pretty
he does.
awesome.
The guy's a fucking European.
Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren.
Well, that was my dream ticket for the United States. I was like, dude,
Holy
you've got a
Christ.
woman as your VP, or even Elizabeth Warren / Bernie Sanders would have been cool for me, as long as it was just them two people, because they're the only two people that
They're
make
not
any
gonna get-
fucking sense.
They're not going to get anything done. Speaking, remember I said the fucking Google sphere's a juggernaut?
Yeah.
Come
Oh my
on.
God.
Like, unless
Citizens
they
Unite, really?
unless
Come
they
on,
had
really?
fucking magical powers and were able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Rally
Rise from the dead.
rally the fucking citizenry to take the NRA's stranglehold off of the Senate and corporate interests and get rid of super PACs and change the Supreme Court's decision to make corporations people.
Well,
Like,
Bernie Sanders.
unless
Bernie
they were
Sanders,
able to do all of that, and even if they were, even if they were reelected, 8 years isn't a long enough time to do that, reap the benefits of that change, and to and to move forward in a progressive way.
But
So
you know what?
that's the realist in me.
Well, I do think though that from what I've seen, and because I actually promote Bernie Sanders. I'm not even fucking American, but I promote him. From what I've seen in Americans who I speak to, a lot of them are secular. They know about healthcare issues, they know about all these issues, and they're like, yeah, we're fucked. And I'm like, well, get off your ass and change it. I think America is a lot more secular and leaning forward than fucking Fox News pretends it to be, if you know what I mean, or portrays it to be. And that gives me hope, though, for the future. I mean, fuck, America just voted to legalize fucking cannabis. I wish my country would fucking get the fuck out the Stone Age and do that. But, you know, jeez.
Well, so
Can't win
there's
them
some.
all.
So real quick, I'm gonna change channels. There are some questions in in the comment section. Well, first of all, Heavy Hauler says the Q&A doesn't work. Wayne reminded us that the live stream is unlisted, but you said you did that on
It
purpose.
should be, yeah.
Guys,
It's
you
not supposed to
fuck
be
up
listed.
with the Q&A. You fucked up with the
I fucking
Q&A.
turned it on. Don't blame me. Blame fucking Google, okay? It's not my fault. Google. sucked my
I thought we
big,
were making
giant
fun of the
black cock.
argumentation, guys. So why don't you both shut the fuck up?
Fuck off.
Benaberry has a question for me. He says, "Is Grace Under Pressure a good album?" No. No.
Ooh, that's it. We're gonna get
Rush
copyright
should have
strikes.
stopped making albums after Moving Pictures. That was the last good Rush album.
Oh, you like Rush?
That's Grace Under Pressure is a Rush album.
Limbaugh. Sorry.
I do like Rush. I like.
could-
Yeah, I
their
don't
albums.
like Rush. That's why I didn't know that.
But he's Canadian. They're
Yeah, I know they're Canadian. I just don't like their music.
Ah.
Don't be a horrible.
he's like, you're Canadian. They're Canadian. You should like them, man.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Correlation, bitch.
What are you
Correlation.
going to tell me that you don't like Brian Adams next?
No,
Ooh,
like
no.
Nickelback, I think is one of the worst bands in existence. They're Canadian.
Wow.
Oh, have you guys heard the
I fucking hate
somebody
you already.
did a mashup of two Nickelback songs. One of them's panned hard left, one of them's panned hard right, and they are the same fucking song. Same chords,
Wow.
same melody. The chorus comes at the same time. The bridge is the same chords. And the only thing that's different is like I think the lyrics and some of the melody sometimes. But I mean, like, talk about formulaic, mod on.
Yeah, but that's the problem with these fucking bands anyway, because they're like the pop, but they actually play fucking instruments.
But I'll tell you what, if I made the amount of money that they did, I would be looking at my last album like, what is it about that album that worked? Let's do that again.
Right.
A part of me would want to do that, and then another part of me would, after touring on songs that sounded exactly the same for a year, I would be like, man, I really want to tap back into my musicianship.
That sounds a lot like Google Plus these days. No offense, but it just
Formulaic.
does. What formula works to get idiots to join my fucking hangout? Let's talk about
Fucking-
religion.
Rictus Gate is busting our chops about the Kellogg's Fruit Loops things. He goes, silly rabbit. Tricks are for hookers.
Well, you know what, dude? On that note, right? I am gonna open this clusterfuck up now.
Yeah,
Okay.
put the
So
link on the live feed.
the link is gonna be.
Let these animals in here.
Yeah, let's get these rabbit fuckers in here. Let's get some clusterfuck going, shall we? I'm gonna post a link on the actual streamy thing, the YouTubey. So if you refresh in about, I don't know, a minute, you will see it.
Why would it take a minute?
Well, because I'm fucking stupid. If it takes, if you want it quicker, just message me on fucking Google Plus, basically. But just give me a minute and I'll upload it to the page itself. So, you guys fucking.
A minute. It's gonna take this guy a minute.
Literally.
And he has to go away.
Full minute.
Yeah.
You are
minute.
seriously retarded.
Yeah, I know. But then again, that's the whole point, isn't it? Yeah. You're the smart one. I'm the retarded one with the loud mouth. That's how the shit works.
Right.
No, actually, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna thank the guest of our show for just fucking coming on, and welcome back. Actually, don't bugger off again, because you're a cool dude. So,
well, it's gonna be like a slow kind of jam anymore. A slow jam. Hey, welcome to Slow Jams. Yeah. That's right, slow jams coming at you in your ear hole.
Is that our new? Is that our new intro? Was that a new intro?
Oh, dude, I will happily do a late night lover DJ jam for you as your intro if you want. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes, that would be amazing.
I just got a boner. Sorry.
You got a strange boner now? Got a little chub?
Yeah, it's the whole bass boner thing, in it. Boom. It's like, that sounds nice.
But yeah, like work is still super busy. Work's even busier now than it was because we have students, summer students. So it's like I really don't have time. Like, you know, the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing at work, now I'm being pulled in 13 more directions because I have 3.5 students. Well, 3 full-timers and a part-timer, and 4 full human beings. And I don't get shit done at work that I like. And so when I get done with this hangout, I'm probably going to punch up a few more documents before I go to bed.
Shit, that's some.
Well, for everybody, if you want to refresh the page, you've got the link to join the live.
There's minutes up now.
Yeah, it only took me a few seconds. There you go. What's up, Heavy Hauler?
Heavy Hauler.
Oh, hey there. I loved it when Chris said, I can say what I want. Something like, I can say what I want to now because I don't have a reputation to uphold.
I love that. That was amazing.
That's right up there. Ozzy going, I'm nobody's bitch. It's good to see you back, Chris. Really
Hey, Heavy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I feel that we got an exclusive with Chris today, so it was nice.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Have you come on here and talk, man. It was honestly awesome. Thanks, dude.
Oh, no
Much
doubt.
appreciated, for sure.
Good to talk. It's good to talk.
Well,
Yeah.
we're going to have you back, though, so you better be fucking careful.
Well, the funny thing is, you know, like people who know me in real life do not think that I'm a nice guy. Like I don't like this weird nice guy reputation that I've been, and I think that you had a point earlier, or somebody. Oh, you know what it was? I was watching a Dick Coughlin video earlier today. And he was saying how oh, well, you know, when people get online and then they start to get viewers and then they kind of start catering to their viewers and blah, 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 blah. And I have to admit, I'm guilty as charged. You know what I mean? Like I came on trying to build bridges, trying to, you know, like be level-headed and stuff, and then like the nice label got applied to me. And so I was like, oh, well, I better not say things that mess up my nice guy reputation, right? That shit doesn't even exist. You talk to kids that I went to school with, went to college with, that I have regular conversations with. They know that I'm a dick. It's pervasive in every conversation I have with them. And then I get online and it's like, hey, welcome to Meeting of the Minds.
So actually, you're a complete cunt. That's nice to know. Well, I'm one, so high five.
Well, that's kind of what goes on around here, right?
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, you remember I was telling you like Raul and those fucking cunt bags were trying to smear me with like like trying to defend
you're the
child
molester
molesters.
apologist, apparently.
Yeah. Well, like, so they would say something that would get under my skin, so I would, like, reply with snark, and they were like, see? I knew I would expose you as not being a nice guy. And I was like, I never said that I was nice. Other people had that perception of me because of the way that I talk.
Yeah, just because I talk and don't swear doesn't mean that I'm nice.
Yeah.
Just means that you can't understand when I'm insulting you, that's all.
It's because you don't have the skills to know how stupid you are. That's how stupid you are. So.
See, that was the thing about you. You tried to actually talk to people and give them a chance to talk back, like you keep saying. It was a communication. It was a conversation, not a debate. And I think that's what so many people really liked about how you was doing it. You was trying to have a conversation or communicate.
Well, that part of me is true. Like, that's my optimistic part. I will always be optimistic that if I wait long enough and they get to their point, we'll be able to use that as a jumping point for some really interesting stuff. So that's a genuine part of how I communicate. But like the naive part that, like, this person's told me I'm a cunt bag, and I'm like, oh, well, what is it about? What about this, that, and the other? Is it that you think that I'm a cunt bag about? And like, that's the naive part, that they're actually going to come back and be like, oh, I'm glad that you asked. I really didn't like when you said this, that, or the other. That fucking never happens. They're just like, because you're a fucking cunt. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm the asshole for asking.
Yeah, the obsession with debate around here is kind of off-putting. Because it doesn't leave much room for actual conversation. Like, it's just, you made a logical fallacy, or your argument's circular.
You took a fart.
That's a fallacy.
You made the talking fallacy.
Yeah, you made a talking fallacy.
It's like, it gets so crazy. What's that, Jackie?
Hey, Jackie.
See it.
Hi, Jackie.
I know people in the community who will, like, their entire conversation is like a scoreboard, and it's like, how many fallacies can my opponent, how many fallacies can I detect or make up in my opponent's argument?
Mm-hmm. And that's like the whole.
I'm the winner because I made the least amount of fallacies. Like, okay,
and I always find that weird too. Like, somebody came into, like I said, I was in JD. I was bored on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, so I went on. And I happened to have seen the Andy Jack video that they were going to be talking
about. They never did. They talked about.
They never ended up talking about Andy Jack at all.
Yeah.
But so
that's
like,
why it's called Talking Shit Tuesday, though, because they talk shit, obviously.
Yeah. So I'm watching it, and then I noticed that somebody dropped. So I clicked the link and I went in and blah blah blah, and the conversation was kind of fun and stuff, and this, that, and like people would come in and just be like, "Yep, just got done pawning so and so," and blah, like that whole That is just like a conversation killer, because it's like, oh, and how big is your penis?
Took a shirt off his back alley and pwned him hard.
It's like, I think it's called pwnage culture. I can't remember, but a lot of like people who respond to videos, like they do a video response, I noticed that there's a lot of like, yeah, I pwn you now with my video response. Like Kevin said, my giant dick.
Yeah, it's like everybody is writing headlines for the Huffington Post. I eviscerated you. You know what I mean? It's
and a lot of videos are just clickbait too, and it's like, oh, you made a video response. Let's see how clever you are. Not really.
Yeah, that's painful too. But it's the culture, right? It's it's people going online to be heard. And what better way to be heard than to say sensational things, or to label your hang as something sensational?
Yeah, okay.
Or to brag about how great of a job you did in putting somebody else down. That doesn't make you great. It makes you a cunt.
Okay, I will give you an exact example. I've just scrolled down my list. I wouldn't say list, but my feed, and I've just got the actual topics is called live pwnage of John breeding with Xbox. That's how fucking retarded this shit's got. Like seriously, that's the fucking title of someone's hangout.
I got a invite to that hangout just now, but I chose to come here instead. So.
Total ponage, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should totally relabel this. Maute takes it in the ass.
Oh, you kinky boy.
Epic ponage.
Absolute ponage of Maute. I think I just made Heavy blush.
All you have
Well,
to do
I was waiting for you to go.
Hold on. All you have to do to pwn Maui is tell him that putting barbecue sauce on pizza is still real pizza.
You better shut your filthy mouth. I'm so Italian, it's not called barbecue sauce, it's called barbecue gravy, alright?
Wow.
Barbecue gravy.
I like. I'm stealing that one.
We
I'm
need
stealing it.
Lenny in here. Where's Lenny?
Well, the link's open for anybody. I've actually updated you guys, so if you want to actually join, just refresh the watch page, and the link's right there at the top, or should be.
I'll be back in a hot second. I need to use the little boy's room and
Yeah.
air this room out.
Set
Just-
fire to your
Oh.
toilet. You mean?
Jesus
Go to the little
Christ,
boy's
brown
room.
is the new pants.
Wow. But yeah, I want to say hello to Jackie and hello to Hauler. Thank you for joining the room.
Welcome
Much appreciated.
to the free-for-all
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah, so this is like what, y'all's first show or something, or
Yes.
This
Yeah,
is-
I caught something about it in my Google Plus feed, and I went, oh, okay, let me check this out.
Okay, hold on. I need to subscribe to this channel.
oh yes, you do, little lady.
yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So should everybody else, because we're gonna be doing
Yes.
we're gonna be doing shows, and
Subscribe.
it's a fallacy. Subscribe.
I noticed that a lot of new shows are popping up here and there now, and I quite enjoy that. You know the Mark and Wayne and them started Boiled Piss recently.
Yeah, I will
and then-
say, you need to also subscribe to the
Subscribe
Boiled
to
Piss
Boiled
Show.
Piss.
You need to do that, guys. Go
Yes.
find them. Mark is an awesome host, and so is Wayne Hudson and friends. I was on that show yesterday, actually. Fucking awesome. It's hilarious. Go and do it. If you like comedy, wit, humor, and all that,
Satire, funny,
Yeah,
good
it's-
stuff. Yeah.
very good stuff. So
Yeah,
get your
and
ass-
Beyond the Bullshit has a Google Plus page too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yay, okay, hold on. Gotta add you to the circles. And then subscribe to your channel. Yay.
I just want to say on the next show we're going to be having the great Ozymandias show up. We're going to be discussing linguistics. I know that sounds really boring, actually, but it's how people talk shit in Hangouts when it comes to, logical fallacies and shit like that. So we're
Way
going
they
to have
use
Ozymandias.
words, the
Yeah.
words.
Yeah,
Ozymandias is gonna teach you motherfuckers a lesson on how to
All
speak.
all that stuff that people get the usual headaches and frustrations from.
yeah.
So
and,
look
yeah,
forward
it's
to
like
that show, guys.
Man, you know you're in trouble when you don't take a shit and wipe your ass, and you have to.
Wow.
No wiper.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you take a no
contest under
wiper?
pressure.
I live in the PUSA.
Oh my god, why can't I find your channel?
Terrible.
Because it's sexy.
terrible.
Oh, the Google Plus.
Whose channel? The channel for the Hangout?
Yeah.
Hello? I think I just froze.
Yeah, but I don't want the conversation to deflate. Stizer, you said that there was something earlier that there was a news thing.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say.
I forget what it was.
It was the stupid. We just made a fucking dinosaur.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. I don't know if it's real or not. I just think it's funny.
Well, what is it? I want to know.
Well, apparently the university, John Moore's university, which is based in Liverpool, which is in my city, has just apparently, like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, cloned the fucking dinosaur. Now, I'm pretty sure the theists are going to go ape shit over this, because dinosaurs don't exist, or God put bones there to just piss them off. I don't fucking know.
No. It was to test our faith.
Oh, yeah,
man.
that's it. Yeah, test our faith. I'm
Well,
sorry.
no, they lived at the same time as humans, like the Flintstones.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And
right.
we
You're
used
right.
them
We
for
had, like,
transport.
saddles. We had saddles and shit, and we would ride them around. It was actually
Yabba dabba
pretty
doo.
cool. Yabba dabba doo.
Well,
I wish there was a
apparently
documentary
that's
of
the
that.
case. We've just cloned one. Its name's Spot.
So you're telling me
Which I'm
that
pretty
Jurassic
sure that's the
World?
name of the fucking
You're
dinosaur in
telling
the
me
Flintstones, which
you're
was the
telling me
pet.
that Jurassic World is a possibility.
Yep. Well, apparently, anyway. Fuck knows. I have to verify whether it's true. So I'm gonna go to the university tomorrow, considering I live next door to it, and say, "Did you just fucking clone a dinosaur?" So I will update you on that story.
Yeah,
But for
I have a
now,
wonderful
apparently it's
visual
true.
in my head right now of Sty like knocking on the door. Excuse me, did you guys really make a dinosaur?
Yeah. Fucking open the door. I got something serious.
You got a fucking dinosaur. It's a fucking axiom.
And they're gonna be like, we're from Liverpool too, but you talk like you got fucking marbles in your mouth.
Yeah, that's true. That's because no one who works there is actually from fucking Liverpool, sadly. They're all from like fucking, I don't know, other countries.
And they put the cunt in country.
Yep. I just find it really interesting because theists are like,
Don't
well,
shake your head at
evolution
me,
doesn't
Abby.
exist. So that should be fun.
Don't you
Well, you were talking about country or whatever. I just subscribe to 2 redneck channels, and they're awesome.
Wow.
They're hilarious. They're great.
They're in other countries, right? I mean, the Confederate flag and all that shit. They are technically other countries. Or they still think they are.
Yeah, like one guy, he does a lot of fishing, and he has little videos about that. And then the other guy, he comes up with this weird-ass stuff, but it's so cool, though. It's like, take your business to the next level, and he's at the stop sign, and someone pulls up behind him. He hits the button, and the trunk opens up, and here's this white sheet with visit something.com, put on it in spray paint. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. I love it. But
Well,
anyway,
Surprisingly, there are rednecks up in north of the Mason-Dixon line.
I just want
Wow.
to ask I want to ask to the Americans in the room, what do you guys think of this whole Confederate flag business that's been recently brought up?
Oh no. I think that the Confederate flag has no place on government property because
yeah.
I just even without the racism and the slavery implications of the flag, like why do we have a flag at some of these government buildings representing a country that doesn't even exist anymore? Like it's just not practical and it's not. I don't know. It's weird. Like if it was any other flag, like the old Republic of California flag, I mean we don't even fly that around in California. We fly the state flag. It's just weird. It's weird to me, even without the whole racism thing.
Okay, I still actually want
Hold on. I want to hear the rest of the Americans first.
to. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there's a lot of baggage with that flag too, because it was like it only really had a thing going for like 3 years, and that was during, I think it was 3 years, or during the time of the actual Civil War itself, I think. And it's a bad time in our history. It really was. It's just all around. It was. Some people can look at it and go, here's where we were one nation, and then all of a sudden we split. Over the slavery issue, which was, that wasn't a good time. And slavery was not a good thing. It wasn't. I mean, let's be honest. But it brings back a lot of bad feeling. Even though none of us were alive at the time this happened, some people, it makes them think about that time period and what happened. And that's probably a lot to do with it too. And a lot of people don't think anything of the flag. The rebel flag. It's just that's what it is. That's it's not that big a deal. It depends on who you ask on here.
Right.
Well, I just wanted to bust Chris's balls while we still got him in here. That's all. I
Do
want to
it.
bust your balls. I really want to know who you dislike. Yeah, I want to know who you dislike on Google Plus because I will say
He was dodging that question in it.
Yeah, I dislike G-Man. I dislike Veckel. I dislike Pillbox. I dislike.
Here we go. The hate list.
Well, I'm just trying to,
I don't dislike any of them so far.
Wow, really? Why is that? Okay, I'm gonna give you.
Now you're asking him.
I don't either. I don't dislike any of them.
Yeah, you are too nice, and this is the point I'm gonna make to Chris. Do you think I know you mentioned this before, which was I think you give a good answer, but not sufficient. Do you think the whole "I'm too nice" was kind of one of your, I guess, I wouldn't say bad points, but was one of the reasons why people got on like your tits in a sense? To
Oh
go like,
yeah.
well, oh, because you're so nice. Like, why don't you tell these people they're fucktards instead of being like nice? Do you think that was a part of like the whole why people got on your
Well,
tits and shit about it?
as far as like the behind the scenes ness goes, here's some things that I'll reveal. It was weird because people saw my. Well, I can't tell you what other people thought based on the private messages that I received. It seemed that people saw my show as a platform for them to say what they wanted to say about a certain situation, and that somehow I was beholden to have them as a guest. Like, one of my favorite things, sarcasm, was when like I would either be in a hang or get a private message that would start with, "You should have me on your show."
I'm pretty sure we said that. Me and Joseph.
Don't rub we.
No,
Don't rub we.
that was different. No,
There's
that was
no
different
we.
because we were talking about something specific, and from
Yeah.
what I remember, you said you should do a show about this.
Yeah,
And,
I
and
think
we were
that was
already in the
important.
middle of that conversation, and so we did the Igtheism hangout.
Well, I want to go back
Yeah.
when you finish the point that you're going to make. I actually do want to come back to that because I think the fallout from that's pretty fucking important as well.
Well, but it's like people that I don't know, like people that I like. I have people on the show that I find interesting, that I think is going to be an interesting conversation. For you to volunteer yourself from my position means that you think you're interesting. And I think that that is just like presumptuous to an nth degree. But then even if I do know you, for you to be like, hey, people are misunderstanding this about me, you should have me on your show so I can clarify that. It's like you have your own channel. Like what the fuck kind of gravity am I going to give your position? Because if you think that I'm giving gravity to your position, how shitty must your position be? Because I'm not anybody.
Well,
Right?
the thing is there's this kind of attitude that goes around that there are quote unquote popular people, right? And you hear a lot of name dropping in videos and stuff like that. And some people base their I don't know, their credibility on how many subscribers they have and how many people watch their videos and whose channels they get invited to. So I imagine that some of the people that were doing that to you are probably people with that kind of framework when they're thinking about themselves. You know, otherwise, why would you do such a thing? Because it's like they know if they come to your channel, you're gonna get 100, 200, 300, however many views, and for them that's sufficient to plug their own channel and get their popularity, because it's kind of a
And of
popularity
course,
contest
if
around
you're
here, right?
for the guests that were on my show, I wanted them to plug their. That was like part of the show. Was okay. We're gonna wrap it up. Is there where can people see you? And like that was a part of my shtick. But to get back to Stey's question, people would also private message me saying what I should and shouldn't do, and that was just like exploding assholes, awesome, because it was just like, to quote Ozzy, I'm nobody's bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you what, like, if that's what you want to do when you have a show with the guests that I book, then you book them and you do what you want me to do. But people wanting me to do something, man, that just rubs me the wrong way. I just
Right.
like, oh, you shouldn't be talking to Jason Burns. You should call this person out. You should do this. Fuck you, suck a bag of dicks. I ain't got time to.
High five.
I
High
do
five.
what I want.
Before
But,
we
I-
get to sorry, Jackie, hold on, hold on, Jackie. Before we get too far away, Heavy Holler wanted to just say one more thing about something else, and then we can carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go
I was
ahead, Heavy.
just going to back up just for a moment. Now, I think I mentioned something about, like, some people look at the rebel flag and don't see it as a symbol of slavery or a divided nation. It's kind of a, how can I put this good? It's like, like Southern people have a certain way of doing things, or they love to fish, or just doing the same things with machines and do mud bogging, mud racing, and stuff like that. Just, like you see things on TV a lot of times where, like, you have a bunch of Southerners at an event or like a moonshine festival, or, just oddball, crazy stuff they love to do.
Like have sex with your sister event.
Well, now I didn't break. Now that's only in West Virginia, but anyway. No, really though. But you see things like that, and the kind of the Southern lifestyle of a lot of people in the South, and they have the rebel flag, and to them, I sometimes think that it doesn't hold that meaning of the nation divided in slavery. It just has to do with kind of like how a lot of Southern people just like to live and cut up and have fun, maybe. Now, I mean, some people might see it that way, some people may not, but I was just kind of looking at both sides of it a little bit there.
Well, sure, but like you said, for people that are younger and maybe weren't alive during the 50s and like a segregation and civil rights movements and stuff like that, it might have a very different meaning because it's just a tacit part of it's furniture in their world. Right, but there also comes a point where, like, hey man, I was raised to be old school racist. My pop grew up in North Jersey. He was in a gang where he wore black leather jackets, just like you would imagine. You know what I mean? And so when I was growing up, the stories that he would tell and the words that he would use, I thought that that's how people talked. But then there comes a certain cognizance and mindfulness about, okay, like what am I saying? Right, which kind of I'm equating to like, okay, well, what does this mean? Just because I'm used to seeing it, because I'm used to hearing it, as an adult, I kind of have a choice now as to whether to use that language, as to whether to accept this, knowing what the connotations of it are, stuff like that. So I agree with you that there are people that grew up with it and don't think twice about it, but I don't think that that's a rationale.
Yeah.
For anything other than, like, once again, the point that I brought up earlier before this was opened up. If you want to buy a rebel flag or Confederate flag, I don't think that it should be illegal to sell them. Buy it, fly it on your private property. If you get guff, expect it, and deal with it the best that you can without being violent. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's going to be a justification that'll satisfy the people that are going to argue with you for flying it on your private property, but I don't think it should be an illegal thing. Do what you want. Wear a KKK hat. I'm tolerant of a lot of things, but I'm intolerant of intolerance to a certain extent. So it's just like, do what you want, without, like, look, don't be killing people. Like, if you believe that. If you believe in white supremacy, I can't stop you from having a rally or having a protest against X, Y, or Z. That's freedom of speech. I really disagree with that. I really do. And if there's counter protests to your protest, then that's other people, rallying around their values and stuff like that. But I guess the point that I'm trying to drive home is, like, there comes a point where even if you were raised with it and it's furniture to your environment, I can't not think that there's a point at which you're like, but.
It's one of those things there's no easy answer to, I guess.
The one problem I have is the government displaying the flag.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest concern, but what people do on their private property is up to them. If you have a Confederate flag hanging above your garage or whatnot, it's just all the better for me because I know that you're a jerk and I'm not going to go into your home. It's as simple as that. It's kind of a way to leave intolerant people out of my life.
What is it? I have no problem. I have no problem with people wearing a Confederate flag belt buckle because it just lets me know that, like, who's the douche.
Yeah,
I have a question.
exactly.
I have a question. Okay, so is it fair to compare the Confederate flag to, let's say, the Nazi flag? Because I've been seeing this comparison pop up recently on social media, where the Nazi Germany flag, by Hitler, used by Hitler and whatnot, is being compared to the Confederate flag. So is that a fair comparison to make? Or is that kind of an exaggeration and maybe a little
I would
extreme.
say the symbolism is fair comparison. I would say the symbolism of hate towards a group of people would be fair. Um, the actual symbols involved, i.e. the flag, well, the Confederate flag that most people are aware of isn't actually the flag of the state. It's actually a battle flag, which some people should know that.
Right.
Where in the sense of the swastika is also a symbol of peace. They just turned it round a little bit because it's actually a sign of, it's from Hinduism, the swastika
Yeah,
itself.
it's from all kinds of places.
So it's a bit weird in that regards. But in terms of what people first recognize it of, well, if you see a swastika, you're going to think of the Nazis. If you look at the Confederate flag, if you've got a brain, the first thing you're going to think of is slavery. So it's a bit weird in that regard. So
And you know what makes it fuzzy is because like they get conflated because of the Klan, right? The Klan flies both of them proudly,
Yeah.
and they both, and that seems to be like the congregation point for those positions: white power, white supremacy, anti-equality, segregation, like that, the Klan popularized both of those things at the same time, kind of, while, like a social, that's what I'm looking for.
norm.
Civil rights, while civil rights was being fought, they just came out and were all sorts of proud. It's like to this day, white supremacists in the South will have a Confederate flag and the swastika flag, and so like I guess that's what makes it. And once again, I'm going to admit my naivety. I don't know the history of everything because I've seen lots of different things. People say that it's heritage. What kind of heritage is that to kind of really fall back on? But I think that is kind of like the nexus where the two of them kind of get conflated, and that might have something to do with it.
No, of course,
I think they're pretty
sorry.
much. I think they're pretty much comparable. I don't think either event in history was worse than the other because you still had human suffering, and human suffering is human suffering, and that's a terrible, terrible thing. And I just don't feel comfortable saying that one is better than the other in that sense. So there's that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you wanted to split hairs. There's certainly a difference because hey, Germany as a nation, the Nazi movement took over the whole nation and they killed millions of Jews, like in a short period of time. Like they rounded them up for the purpose of getting rid of them. And the Confederate flag was, a battle flag potentially and I say potentially because I'm naive about the details, for the Civil War, and the Civil War was mostly about slavery, and the deeper you get into the history, like this Zinn book that I listened to, the Howard Zinn, it wasn't really about like the North being like stalwarts of, like equality. It was a political move more than anything. So it's not like, the North are these champions of African Americans that the South, who hated African Americans, were fighting against. It was way more nuanced than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Civil War goes, as the Confederate flag, I'll just assume is a representation of the South in the Civil War. The Civil War is not as cut and dry as South wanted slavery, the North didn't. Everyone in the North was against slavery. Everyone in the South was for slavery. That's not. It's not that
clear cut. Yeah, that's so true.
Not at all. But like the problem we run into is that like what people see in the flag is not, even if it's not necessarily accurate, like even if the Confederate flag was just a battle flag, like it is seen modern day as a symbol of hate. Yeah. And just like the swastika, it doesn't matter that it used to be a symbol of peace. It got turned into a symbol of hate. So it's how people interpret it and how people feel about it that's more important than its use when it was in use.
Well, here's the optimist in me. because it's a stereotype, right? For the people in the North, when we see the Confederate flag, we're like, you're like, hey, pass the moonshine, racism, slavery, herp. It's like such a stereotype of a negative connotation that it's kind of cool right now that people are rallying around the idea that, like, yeah, man, we've taken for granted how shitty that is to have flying on a Capitol building for a state or a legislative building or whatever the fuck government building that it flies on, and that it can't be even drawn to half-mast because it's permanently affixed to the top of the fucking flagpole. And then everyone kind of changing their mind. I mean, and they changed their minds like within days. When I think that when who was it, Haley Barbour? What's the name of the senator or governor of South Carolina? Regardless, I can't think of her name right now. But she was just like, well, this, that, and the other, and we did try to pass legislation, this, that, and blah, 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 blah. And then 3 days later, she's like, well, yeah, so now we're going to talk. Now that we're making it a discussion, we're discussing about maybe Britain taking it down. So it was like that, and then friggin' Walmart and the Walmart-like thing.
Amazon stopped selling it now as well.
I know, and that's
crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I think Apple banned any games that even show the Confederate flag in them from being sold in their stores, which I think is going too far because some of those games are supposed to be like historically accurate. Like there's a couple games where there's like the Confederate Army is represented.
And I also heard that there's a microchip that you can put in your TV so that when reruns of Dukes of Hazzards come on, it explodes automatically.
No, that's. Well, this is the thing that's actually, this is one of the things that's been going around the internet. In a sense, it's been on like Young Turks, and I think it was an American comedian. God, I can't remember his name. It's some dude. He was saying like political correctness has gone fucking ape shit right now.
Yeah, I agree. Political correctness is a little bit too much.
Yeah,
like in the beginning of this, I was like, yeah, let's get the Confederate flags off of government property. But then everyone started like banning it everywhere and all that, and I was just like, are we going a little too far now?
Yeah, like very quickly it went from like intuitively it kind of seems like a cool idea to like, all right, these people are doing it as a marketing ploy now. That's what it feels like. It's like, oh wow, it happens that quick now.
Yeah.
Like it used to take like a long time. Like when you liked something as a kid, and then like years later your parents like it, and then all of a sudden you can't like it anymore.
Yeah,
that took like years or months.
When I was a kid, I knew what the Confederate flag was because I could look at it, but no one told me the history. And then I probably I wouldn't have been asked anyway. It's a fucking symbol of I mean, fuck, I watch movies and there's swastikas in it. Yeah, okay, fine. But it's more about the content. Dukes of Hazzard was all about fast cars, crazy jumps, two fucking hillbillies. The Confederate flag wasn't on my mind because I happened to be fucking part black. You know what I mean?
Good old boys.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I do think the politically or the PC liberals and left in the United States, and I think I touched on this a little bit with you actually, Chris, in the interview, is that I think somehow or sometimes Americans think America is the world. I think that's to the detriment of sometimes Google Plus, because the narrative is, well, this is how people think. It's not necessarily that way. But I can understand the way people come across in that regards.
I think a lot of people are afraid of people's feelings getting hurt, and there's a lot of. I think I can't really blame people for wanting to like be politically correct, because obviously they emphasize with people who are hurt by these words and symbols and stuff, but at the same time, we have to remember that we're a nation of free speech, and that comes first before any of this. obviously, unless the free speech is promoting to kill people or something, but you know.
Yeah, setting aside the issue about the flag, something that I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all noticed this. Since the killings in Charleston, which was a horrible, tragic thing, it really was. But some people have been using that as a platform for some little agenda or something, or to promote a viewpoint, a specific viewpoint they have, and they're using that to kind of get their message out there. And I think that is so fucking wrong. I mean, it really is. You know, I mean, these people died.
Yeah,
and people are using it for something else. And it's like, all right, I'm going to bring up one thing.
Yeah.
The 9/11. After that happened, there were a lot of TV shows that were canceled or changed radically. I think on some TV sitcoms, the Twin Towers were actually erased from older shows where you could see it in the background. Now, I'm not sure about that, but I think that did
The
happen.
Spider-Man movie,
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
Yeah, there were films and TV shows that had to remove the Twin Towers.
One of them was actually banned on a TV show. The one episode where it actually talked about the 9/11, well, not 9/11, but the Twin Towers being blown up. I forgot what show it was, but it's a well-known one.
Seinfeld, maybe? No,
I
not
remember
Seinfeld.
they canceled.
There was an episode of the X-Files.
Was it the X-Files?
Yeah, it was one of the pilot episodes, and there was a plane that was going to crash, but they didn't end up crashing. They pulled up but it was into the Twin Towers. Yeah, so maybe that's what you're talking about.
But it was like this was a horrible event, but it was almost like they were trying to make everybody forget about it or something, and they were doing all this political correctness stuff. And to me, it I don't know, it just struck me as wrong. You know, it's like they're trying to make people forget about it, and it's like, how do you forget an event like that?
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Hold
on a minute, Jack. Hold on. Well, I want to pull it back a little bit because I don't want to make this about the Confederate flag, even though it's a really interesting thing, because it is interesting. But I want to pull it back to what Chris was saying, actually, in terms of how people relate to certain things, and I do want to relate it to Google Plus, because if you take the Charlton thing and relate it to how people perceive shit to be, how do we understand Google Plus? Because for me, Google Plus is that way anyway, right? In the sense of perception and shit of certain topics, right? And if you can misunderstand a fucking flag, right? Because the flag has nothing to do with this. I would say, poor guy. I feel sorry for this dude. He was that fucked up in the head. He can do that, right? But if you've got a position that is so extreme, then Google Plus itself becomes a manifestation of craziness, and that's why it's always about religion. It's always about a certain topic, and nobody else gets to speak about stuff because it has to be so extreme in someone's point of view that makes the whole thing extreme. And I do want to bring it back to Google Plus, and I don't want to really veer off into
Oh no, that was a great way to pull it back to Google Plus, because you're so right about that.
Mm-hmm.
What you said about these extreme views and stuff. You brought it back real nicely. Well done.
I think it affects the debate in general. I think we can apply. I wouldn't say real life, because obviously this is real. Just because we're on the internet doesn't make it any less real than it fucking is. But I think if we take views of people or PC types stuff and apply it to what Google Plus Great Derp is doing, then you can see the similarities, and I think that may be a very big issue, just in the terms of Google Plus and how we understand each other. Because you're going to get someone going, well, the fucking flag's okay. And then you're going to get someone going, well, you're a fucking racist, when they're not. But they're just trying to defend maybe someone else's right to watch fucking Dukes of Hazzard, for instance. Or, fucking mud wrestle or shag a sister. I don't fucking know. But you get the point. It gets comical when it's supposed to be, I guess, just a point of view. And that makes me angry. The reason why we make this show is to go beyond the bullshit, because I think a lot of bullshit gets spilled out and no one actually goes, hold on, let's slow down and think of the issue instead of just shouting at each other about, like, I've got this position, next position. So can you kind of elaborate on your position there, Chris, and how you maybe understand that position of one guy saying this, one guy saying that, blah blah blah. I know that was a fucking long ass question, so feel free to just
really
make it a bumper sticker for me.
Yeah,
make it a bumper sticker for me.
There you go. I hate fags, and Obama's a dick, and a Muslim. There you go.
So what do you want me to comment on?
Yeah, I don't even.
I've got no
understand
fucking idea.
That entire diatribe, I was just like, what?
I'm just trying to ask Chris if he thinks that the PC shit that we see about the Confederate flag actually just show itself in G Plus Hangouts in regards to how absurd it can be taken in certain positions.
Well, I don't know if I can comment on that. What I can comment on is how, especially after the events at the church, right? What was it, last Wednesday that this occurred?
Yeah, it was like last week.
Yeah, how it went from guns to race to the Confederate flag. I thought that was a weird morphing of information. It was like, we can't do anything about guns, we can't do anything about race, but this Confederate flag thing we might be able to get traction on. So I think that, I don't know if this has to do with political correctness or whatever, but it seemed like the PC police were looking for something to sink their teeth into. And this was, and I'm not saying that the Confederate flag had nothing to, it's flying atop the state capitol in the state where this occurred. The state where this occurred had streets named after people that supported slavery. The street that the church is on is named after somebody who wouldn't want a church of black people congregate. You know what I mean? So
you're saying it's no surprise that this kid went up and shot up the church.
Oh, what? Have you just lost your mind? Is
Well,
that
no,
what I said?
I'm just asking.
No, I'm saying I guess there is a reason why the issues with the Confederate flag that are being talked about now are born out of that, but it seems like I don't know if low-hanging fruit's the right phrase I want to use.
Oh, yes,
but
it is.
Like I think that a conversation about race and guns would be really more much more something to sink your teeth into than the Confederate flag. At the same time, I am super happy that the conversation about the Confederate flag is happening. It's a shame that it took this event for this conversation to occur, but I think that it's almost a sidebar to the real issues. But it's something that the PC police could sink their teeth into, so that's what they went after. You're not going to change the NRA's stranglehold on the government, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You're not going to instantly change racism. Taking down the Confederate flag is not going to instantly change anything about race relations, right? But I do think it's a step in the right direction. I just think that it's weird that the outcome of last Wednesday is culminating in a conversation about the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
When I guess it has to do with the dude's blog where he was ensconcing himself in the Confederate flag and spitting and setting fire to the American flag. So I'm not saying that they're completely unrelated, but out of the three issues, the Confederate flag, racism, and guns, I'd rather a conversation about guns and racism occur.
Right.
Well, for me, as being English, I would like to concentrate on guns because you do get racism in every country, and a lot of people.
I will shoot you.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, for me, I've just been fascinated with the amount of coverage about American cops. I love understanding how American cops are badly trained. I don't believe they go out their way to kill black kids. Some of them might do because they're fucking maybe racist. I don't know, but I don't think anybody goes home at night to their wife and go, "Guess what, darling? I've just shot a nigger."
Can I ask a question?
Sure, man.
So if that kid had been a black kid and that had been a church full of white people, what do you think would have happened to that kid? Just out of speculation, based on the reputation that the police have in the United States.
It basically would have been called terrorism But they won't say that because no offense.
I think that kid would have got shot in the head multiple times somehow.
Yeah, but they gave the kid a Burger King. Apparently, when they arrested him.
Well,
they
whatever.
gave
I'm
him a
just
Burger
saying
King.
that's just my opinion. I think if it was if the races were reversed in that sense, I think that's what it would be.
Well, this is this. I mean, I'm trying to get at the perception exactly. I think you raised a very good point there. I'm trying to get at the perception of how America sees stuff. I think their cops are badly trained, badly anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even when dealing with mentally ill people, we have a lot of stories that the national media doesn't really cover about how badly the cops handle mentally ill. There was a man beaten to death at the Fullerton train station in Orange County, California, and he was homeless and mentally ill, and he literally had done nothing wrong, except I think he might have been having like some sort of episode, and the police just came and they beat him down. There was also another incident in Texas where I think she was 17, a 17-year-old girl, and she was Caucasian. She walked into a police station. She needed help. This was kind of late at night. When she was going there for help, and she had an episode in the waiting room, and they shot her to death. So yeah, I would say the police are definitely not trained in both handling race and handling mental illness.
They seem to be trained to shoot anything that moves.
Yeah, well,
It's like they're trained. They're not trained to use violence as a last resort, which is what they should be trained to do. It's like, basically, I hate to say this, but it's almost like the police are putting their lives above the lives of the general public, when it should be the general public's life before theirs. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I think one thing. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think one thing though is there have been these certain incidents that have happened, and they've happened like bam, 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 one after the other, and now things are like real tense between, public and police, and where something that is so simple, like you mentioned, the incidents that you mentioned, something simple could all of a sudden blow out of proportion before you know it. It's like it's a really bad time right now for police and for public interactions that happen.
There was also another incident where the
Wait, hold on a second, Jackie. Before you say another incident, I need to bounce because it's bed. I wake up at 5 o'clock, so I need my 7 hours of sleep. So I need to be going to bed. Great conversation. Thank you very much for the invitation. Invite me again. I'll be happy to bust you guys' balls. So take those goddamn marbles out of your mouth. I can't understand a fucking thing like this.
Leave my marbles alone, you fucking racist.
I can't help it. I was an altar boy.
That's racist.
I just love saying that. I just like to, I love it. But I'm gonna say this. Hold on, before you go, I'm gonna say thank you for Christopher Maute. You're a legend, dude. I'm glad you're back. It was a fucking great interview, and you're gonna be a fucking regular on this show, no doubt.
Oh, you think so?
We need people like you in this community, dude. Seriously. So don't fucking be disheartened by the retardedness of fucking Google Plus. There is hope, like our show, obviously. So
I'll maintain my optimism. I'll just try to leave the naivety part out.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Right.
All right, gang. Have a great night.
Yeah, and don't set fire to your bed by farting and shit. Just saying.
And brown is the new pants.
Yeah.
Good night.
Peace out, Chris.
Bye.
Alright, well, what I'm going to do, since the guest of our show has departed, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit it off the live, because we don't want it to last too long, obviously, and we did have the guest on. It was fucking awesome. But we're going to have multiple shows, obviously. Our next show is going to be Ozymandias, and if you want to show for that one, that's going to be fucking awesome, because Ozzy's going to kick some ass, actually. Just like our Chris did there. So, we will update you guys of when that's gonna come. So,
Well, yeah, and also, I don't feel that we were able to get out all the grievances today, but maybe next time we'll be able to do that a little bit more.
yeah, we will. I mean, it's our first episode. We have to play nice on our first episode, I guess. So, but yeah, the clusterfuck's open. If you want to come in and just argue and chat shit, feel free. But be warned, we are not gonna stop playing nice soon. So it was still nice to have Chris on the show, though, right? I didn't even get into the whole atheist thing. That was
that wasn't what the point was.
yeah, I know, but I wasn't to mention names, little bastard. I'm gonna get him next time.
That's kind of what I meant when I said.
Yeah, I
we
get him
didn't
next
get the grievances. He didn't want to say.
Yeah.
But if he says there's no one that he doesn't, if he's saying that there's no one that he dislikes, then there's no one that he dislikes.
Yeah, I should wait.
I'm willing to take him at his word, and I'm not gonna disagree with that. But you have a nice list of people that you dislike.
Yeah, I've got fucking shit. It's Pillbox, one of them, you know. But well, I could go on. But I mean, the point is that this show, for people who are watching who are new to our channel or our show, is we don't deal in bullshit. We want to ask people how they feel about the Google Plus community. Doesn't matter what the topic is, and we want people to be straight. And if you're not straight, we're gonna kick your ass. So you got kind of an inkling with Christopher Maute, but if you're on our show, we're gonna ask you actual questions, not bullshit, basically. So thank you for joining the show, I guess, and watching, and hope you click the subscribe button and
Thank
give
you
us
very
some
much for
support.
listening. Subscribe, like the video, do all that usual YouTube good stuff.
Yeah, and you will
support
see.
the channel, man, because big things coming. Big things coming.
And we're gonna have more stuff. It's not gonna be just interviews. We're gonna treat you to some good shit, basically. We're gonna have good guests on the show.
A lot of
Good
things.
guests. We got some good shit planned for you guys. Like seriously, you got no idea who's gonna be on our show in the future. That's a secret. Even Joseph doesn't even know.
I'm being about my own shit. What the fuck is that?
It's a surprise. It's funny. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna provide you guys with a good service, and this show is not about if God exists or not. Fucking, that's boring.
You can talk about it, but if I say that it's if I say that it's magic and it's a fairy tale,
yeah,
you just have to kind of respect my opinion as I respect yours.
So yeah, the room's open, guys. If you want to come in and just hate on each other as usual, feel free. The room's going to be open for a while, and I am not going to bed, even though it's like fucking 3:15. So enjoy yourselves, and come in and hate on each other about God, because that seems to be the fucking shit of the day. So from me, El Stizor, I shall bow out, and from my good host,
Chocolate Rainbow.
Yeah.
Have a good night, motherfuckers.
Peace out, guys. I'll see you on the next episode of Beyond the Bullshit.